Matthew 16:18 reads, "And I say also unto thee, that thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church." How well do you know your family's history? In recent years, people have begun to research their family history to answer that question, where did I really come from? Well, as we begin to celebrate Quinn's momentous journey of 150 years of our service to Christ, let's trace our roots at Quinn and consider the DNA that makes Quinn the ultimate church it is. Let's examine our story of where we've come from by faith. Now, just imagine with me, we're traveling back to the beginning. The year is 1864. We've invited a guest from that era to get us started. And I introduce to you one of the notable founding members of Quinn, Miss Hester Daniels.
Thank you, Pastor, members and friends of Quinn, for inviting me this morning. It was a long, difficult journey here, but I made it. I won't be very long, but I want to share some of your history. In 1864, myself, the Johnsons, and by the way, Willis Johnson was Lillian Ramey's great-great-grandfather. No time to name all the other families, but a handful of us faithful Christians started a small Bible study, a prayer group, and a gospel society over yonder, a short ways from here in Glendale, near the ice house where I used to live. It was towards the end of the Civil War, and we colored folk knew that we weren't welcome in the other folks' church, if you know what I mean. But we weren't going to let anybody or anything keep us from praising the Lord. So we stepped out on faith and petitioned the AME Church to sanction our society. In 1868, we were granted official AME Church status. Our visiting pastor was Reverend Arnett from the Walnut Hills and Lockland Circuit. It was a struggle for many years. Several appointed pastors were faithful, God-fearing servants, but some of them didn't have the hope that our modest church membership would grow. Since we had so few members, there was a lot of pressure for us to give up on the dream and join the Lockland Circuit, to join their church. Times were tough and resources were spread thin. But God, yes, God, the Lord had a plan for Quinn according to his time. So we held on to the dream that we'd been given. Now, praise God, finally in 1886, Reverend Collins was assigned to Quinn. He purchased an organ for the church for $100. Those grand old spirituals played on that melodious organ inspired us to keep on. Now, Quinnites were not quitters, no matter how tough times were. Lo and behold, in November of 1888, we'd saved enough to purchase a lot over there on East Willow for $150. That was a lot of money back then. By God's grace, less than a year later, we built ourselves a fine-looking church on that lot. Right over there, 313 East Willow, right there in Glendale. On August 11th of 1889, Bishop D.A. Payne dedicated our church in an unforgettable celebration. Pastor Collins named our church Quinn Chapel. Reverend John Dickerson became our presiding elder, and he sent a Reverend Norman to Pastor Quinn and helped increase our membership from 16. Yes, I said 16. And look at y'all now. Now I know what you're thinking. Quinn started from that little old church? Yes, it did. But it was a grand sanctuary to us. It was big and beautiful, and it had the fullness of spirit of 1,000 churches, just like this one. Just like this one. I admit, I couldn't imagine that you folk would build yourselves a fine sanctuary like this. Only God, only God. And your legacy is the faith and spirit of all of us that came before you. You should know, keep serving God, and there's more good to come. I got that news from the higher ups. You know, you've got yourselves a mighty fine Quinn Chapel, and your pastor, right? Well, he's a mighty fine fellow. Thanks for inviting me to share in the beginning of your history, where you came from. Now, continue your journey of faith, service, and perseverance, because that's what you're here for. Happy anniversary, 150 years, Quinn Chapel. You've really got something to celebrate. Now I'm going to say bye-bye because my buggy is waiting. Bye-bye.